Welcome back, boys and girls. It is Trade-A-Palooza. We have so many trades to go over that we don't even remember how we do this. It's been freaking months since we've gone over a good trade, and now we have a plenty. You know the faces. Here's the names. That's Marky Mark. That's Tank Top Mike. Show off your guns, Mike. Let's see them. Never mind. All right, let's get into it because we have a bunch of trades that made a big old ripple. I may or may not be a part of one or two of them. Let's see what we got going on. Marky Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, let's get right to it, man. We're going to start with a couple of we'll call them the smaller trades.
Wah, wah, wah.
No
Those
trade is
trades?
no trade is insignificant, but we'll call them smaller trades here. Going to start off
Okay.
with the DBs and just the tips. So the DBs received Isaiah Pacheco. Just the tips received a 2023 third that was Ian Steele's pick. Poo-Crew, sorry. Why did I call his name, man?
Boo!
Man,
I
I'm
don't know.
slipping. I'm slipping, man. I'm slipping.
Do we
Look,
need to
who-
start
Don't
over?
ever happen again, or else you're off the show.
Can we start over?
No.
All right. So 2023 third from the Poo Crew. He got a
Poo crew.
2024 fourth and a 2025 fifth, both from the DBs. So, Sean, start us off on this trade.
So, in another league that we don't speak of,
Boo!
found out that my co-manager did me a solid by putting Pachenko on our taxi, and it actually got us a really, really nice piece in that. I think the story coming out of the hype is real, as they say with Pacheco. And the DBs, they're pretty deep at running back. They can take a flyer and get that upside, and maybe they'll just flip it for some more picks that are higher than the back end picks that they gave the tips. But yeah, I like it. It's a good trade for them because it's all upside.
You like upside.
I'm an upside guy. Yeah.
I'm gonna give the short term win. I think we should all give winners and losers on all of these trades. It's been so long.
Okay. DBs win. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think the tips win. They drafted him with a 4th round pick, and they got a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th back. They got 3
Yeah,
years.
for the next 3 years.
Yeah. So, wait.
They're not even going to draft that 24 or 25th. That stuff is going to get moved.
In 2025, we'll come back and see who you'd rather have.
All right, put it on your calendar. We'll talk about this trade in 25.
Well, okay, Mister Who cares? So anyway, yeah, I think in the short term, this is the catch. In the short term, the tips win this one. They recoup their draft value and they got a little bit extra. 2023 probably looking like a deep draft, pretty good. In the long term, there is a chance that the underdogs win this trade if he pops off. Could he?
Okay.
Most likely not. It's probably some camp hype. They got caught up in some camp hype. We all do it. Maybe he's Brian Edwards this year. Nobody knows. Maybe he's not though. But they, like you said, they have the depth of a roster to hold him, and if he pops off, they win. Good for them. But I think short term, right now, I think the tips they turned a 4th round pick. That's right now, RB3 on that team, into a 3rd, or 4th, and a 5th. Pretty good.
I tend to agree with Mike that return on investment right now is it goes towards the tips. It's pretty much by the numbers, it's an even trade. But yeah, I looked at the same thing, Mike. They drafted him at 404, and they got that 4th back, albeit a 24 4th, but they got a 23 third. So I mean, the quick return, like you said, Mike, third rounder in a deep draft. The only downside is if the Poo Crew finishes up towards the top, it might not be an early third. But hey, I mean, even that pick alone would make it a good return on the investment. They got the 4th and the 5th. And Sean, if they use those picks if you say they won't have those picks, well, if they don't have them, then they've made some other deals. They
Okay.
got some
Stop right
stuff to
there.
work with.
You're gonna use some logic on me, and that's not okay.
Sorry to confuse you with logic, but yeah, I give the nod to the tips. Pacheco is not a bad guy to get. I don't know. I kind of almost feel like it's he's being hyped up too much, man. Everybody that goes to Kansas City, everybody goes crazy for him. I don't know if anybody. I won't bring up any other Kansas City guys, but everybody that goes there, everybody goes crazy for him. And Pacheco, I don't think he would have been on many people's radar if he hadn't been picked by Kansas City. I think he would have flown way under the radar. He was actually on my radar. I do deep dives. I go 60 to 70 deep in the rookie drafts. So he was on my radar, but he was towards the end of all of that. And he was one guy just because of size and speed. I thought I might take a flyer, put him on a taxi squad, and that's what we did in the other league there. But I think now that he's with Kansas City and he's shown a little bit, everybody's just getting all excited about him. I mean, realities, he came from Rutgers. He was almost undrafted. I think he was picked seventh round, pick 30. So I mean, he was really close to being a UDFA anyway. So I mean, the odds aren't in his favor. So I think anybody that has Pacheco and selling him right now, I think they're doing a good thing. And we did that, right, Sean? So
Yes, we did.
Let's talk about that.
I was waiting for the other running back that was hyped and somebody made a giant deal for. So if we want to move on, I'm all about that.
I'm not talking about past stuff. We're talking about what's going on right now. So there is a history there, though.
I said I wouldn't bring it up, but
Let it be known there is a history.
All right, moving on.
Hey. Oh yeah, I guess that's me, right?
I
I thought you were going to talk for a while, but all right. Moving on. We're going to the next trade between the DBs and the tips. Oh, and I got to say to the DBs, I tried to be respectful, in the past and call you guys the underdogs. But if you're going to name your team the UA Dogs, is that what they're called now? The UA?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with DBs, and no, that doesn't stand for defensive backs. I guess we're back to this. I was trying to be respectful, man, but guys gotta do something about that name. All right, anyway, moving on. We'll go to this trade, which is the DBs receive a 2024 third rounder, which was their own pick, and a 2025 fifth rounder from Just the Tips. And Just the Tips receives John Mechie. Start us off, Sean.
Well, now that I got royally destroyed on the last trade talk, let me go the other way. Yeah, but this time they get 2 third-round picks for a guy that may be a starter. I think that's pretty good, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. I would say DBs win. Mike, go ahead. Tell me why I'm an idiot.
I don't have as much time. Just
let me cleanse my palate with a cool, refreshing Coors Light.
we don't have that much time, Johnny. We try to keep these shows to an hour.
I think my early thought is the DBs win this one early. But if you're going to hold a player, I think that I would rather be holding Mechie than Pacheco. So in that regard, I think the tips win. In the vacuum of the trade, I'd rather have the picks right now, and unfortunately, in unfortunate circumstances, I'd be okay bailing on Mechie. Obviously we all know what happened. So and the same kind of thing, they they drafted him early in the second, so it's unfortunate. But I think if you can recoup some thirds, have another team hold him, you can still root for him. But I agree with you on this one.
Yeah, this one's it's a tough one because of Mechie's situation, and yeah, they gave they picked him with pick 203 and got a third and a fifth round back out of a guy who's not going to play at all this year, and then future's in question. So Mechie, I like if we're just talking about the talent, I think he was flying under the radar pretty well because he played with some big names that got drafted early in the NFL. Um, kind of, I think he kind of was in the shadow of some guys, but if you look at what he did in college, I mean, he was good. He was good, and I think he was kind of flying under the radar. And I think he was a good. I was looking at him more. I was looking at him more in the later second, early third, but I never got any Mechie because he was going pretty early, and I think those guys were astute in getting him early because I think he could have been a good surprise. I hate he's not going to get a chance to show it right away. Kind of like James Conner, though, man. Maybe he can come back. Conner dealt with something similar, and he beat it and he came back. So I'm hoping that John Mechie does the same. But yeah, kind of like it's pretty even by the numbers, but I'd give the nod to the DBs. Just getting anything out of a guy that would have just sat on their taxi anyway.
I think the real loser is the league because Landon makes this trade and then it shuts down the 5-day trade or the 5-trade day. We were at 4. Nobody knows if Landon is allowed to do this, so we all got scared and left.
Yeah, we were just waiting for it to be reversed, right?
and then the Papa Bear comes in and goes, "What just happened?" And we're all just like,
we were waiting to see that. See in chat that Landon Tips has left the league, and Ricky come on and say, "Give my damn picks back."
I want to talk to the commissioners.
Yeah, this is bullshit. Well, let's move on to some bigger trades. We had a NAO three-way, and I want to ask you guys your opinion on this because the two teams that have co-owners were involved in this. So actually, was it, do we call it a five-way or do we just go ahead and call it an orgy? What do we call that when there's five? It's really a five-way, right? What are we gonna call this one?
I'm not sure if Evan can be added to those numbers because we all know he'd be the one in the corner just watching like a weirdo. So
Taking notes. All I know is you got five guys wandering around. They can't look each other in the eye too long. So something crazy happened there. But let's go on to the trade, shall we?
Ricky did say in the chat that 5 was too many out of experience. It seemed like
This is what he was talking about.
this is what he was talking about.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so this one was between FNG, Just the Tips, and the DBs. All right, so FNG received. I'm just going to go over who each one got, not try to say who sent what, So FNG got Matthew Stafford, Curtis Samuel, Chris Olave, and a 2024 second from the DBs. Just the Tips got Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, a 2024 third from FNG, and a 2025 fourth from the DBs. The DBs got Lamar Jackson. A lot to unpack here, guys. So let's kind of just round robin it and see if we can hit them all.
So I'm gonna start with the douche canoes.
Oh, the DCs. Okay, the DCs.
Just the tip. So I think this is a pretty astute move on their part for the pure fact that they're just trying to buy time to get to where Deshaun Watson is starting every week, and they're going to start Deshaun Watson. And I think Ryan Tannehill, that is if he starts. If he comes back and he even plays a game, I think this is a good move. And if he doesn't come back, this is a good move, anticipating that he may come back, which is where they need to be going. I think Ryan Tannehill can carry them until that happens. Right now, obviously, I don't think they're expecting to really compete in the playoffs. So making that move a good move to add a few pieces, the whole quarterback room for Tennessee, and a couple picks just to wait for Deshaun Watson. I think that was a pretty good move. I forget what they gave up to get that. Can you tell me who they gave up for that?
Who?
They had Stafford and Samuel, I think. Maybe there was a pick in there. I don't have it. I don't have it all written out.
I have
All
the,
right.
Who gave up what?
Yeah, that's what I say. I didn't want to go at it that way, but you guys are welcome to look it up. But I know they had Samuel and Stafford on their roster.
All right. So they gave up Stafford. That's it. They only gave up Stafford, one quarterback. They got the quarterback that could carry him too, and gained a potential starting quarterback and 2 picks. I think that was a really good move for just the tips. The DBs get the big prize, the prize that they're going after. Obviously, Lamar Jackson. They do have Dak, which is a no slouch at the quarterback position, and they have CeeDee Lamb, so they have the stack there. But they also have a new stack with Lamar Jackson and uh,
Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman. My mind was blanking on me. And Lamar Jackson has a higher rushing upside than Dak does. But if you're going off of last year, I think it's just because Dak was still coming back from that leg injury. He only broke his leg, so him not rushing is kind of understandable. I think his rushing upside will still go up, but they still have him. So if he starts blowing up, they'll just put him in. It's not that big a deal and still have a giant stack right there. FNG, he got a bunch of stuff that he could play with. He got Chris Olave, who I think is great. We'll get on him more. But he got another
Play it
pick
cool. Play it
in
cool.
Matthew Stafford. What's that?
Play it cool.
Matthew Stafford, Matthew Stafford is a QB1 in this league, and he's got a bunch of weapons, so he can set him in there and forget it until he drafts a guy or gets a guy that is young and who he wants. So I think there's this three-way trade for all 3 teams made sense, which I think is hard for 3 teams to even do that. So uh, the question for me is, did the DBs give up too much for Lamar Jackson or too much for rushing upside between Dak and Lamar Jackson?
See, my first thought when I looked at this whole trade was that they gave up too much for Lamar Jackson. It's a 1 quarterback league. There was, that's a lot to give up for one guy, especially like you said, when you have Dak. Dak's, like you said, fine to start. You have the stack with CeeDee Lamb. Do you really need to send all that for Jackson? But I think if you really look,
I mean, what if Dak averages like 24 points a game? Like, how many more points does Lamar Jackson give you per game? Maybe like 3 or 4 points? Is that enough?
well, sometimes we lose by less than 1.
Yeah.
But I think when you actually kind of look at what they gave up, obviously they gave up some depth, but really they gave up Olave and some high picks, and a second is pretty much it. Really, I mean, they weren't going to start Tannehill, except for bye
Right.
weeks. Curtis Samuel's been rotting on their bench. Malik
Mhm.
Willis, I'm sure they could have started, but if you have Tanny, you're not going to start Willis for a few years. I mean, really, it was Olave that they gave up almost in some of those picks, and picks are moving all over the place around here. When you kind of look at really what they gave up, I think it turned out okay. I can't fault them for wanting a little extra elite depth at quarterback. Kind of 2 reasons. If anything happens to either of them, you have an elite backup. And in my case, depth was the reason I lost last year, and so I can't blame anybody for going after some more elite depth in a pretty decent deal like this. But like you said, now they have 2 stacks. But the other reason that I was thinking is I lost it. What happened to it? Oh, you can trade either one of them. If you need a quick flip, somebody's going to want Dak or Lamar pretty quick, and you're going to get a decent haul back. So yeah, I think my first thought was that the DBs paid too much, but really, I think it makes him it solidifies him as a contender at the top. The only caveat to that is can they pick the right quarterback every week? Now you have to play with that every single week. So, which is the exact opposite reason that I decided to not roster Mahomes and Herbert. So I did not have to make that decision in a one quarterback every week. But and then the other two, like you said, I think it's a fantastic trade for really everybody. I think it's a pretty rocking three-way trade here. I think the Tips, they didn't need Stafford. I think they got a little bit younger at quarterback. They got some picks. That's what they've been doing. And F&G, same kind of thing. He with Olave on his roster, he has a lot of good young wide receivers. He likes his second-round picks, and they extended one out to 2024 because we all know he doesn't need another one in 2023. And he can rebuild, like he's still doing. He can rebuild with Stafford just as well as he can with Lamar Jackson. So he got a decent haul for Jackson, still gets a nice quarterback he can rebuild with. It's looking pretty good. I think, I know I said that we had to pick a winner. And if I had to pick a winner, probably overall in this singular trade, F&G. But I think everybody did really, really well. I don't think there's a loser
if I had
on
to
this
pick a
one.
winner, I guess it would be the DBs, but just for the just after what you said, Tank Top, is like Olave in the second's really all they gave up. Everything else was just bench. And if they need to flip a guy, they just pick which one they want, and the other one will go. They can sell the other one easily.
And there's a good point about Watson. I actually forgot that the Tips had him potentially. So yeah, if he comes back, I think that works out for him.
Yeah, we got to see what happens to Watson, man, because we thought it was going to be 6, and then they kind of put the kibosh on it, and they're saying they want to get more. So I hope they resolve that soon. But they probably got to be a little bit nervous that it might be longer than the 6 games. Maybe he misses another year. I really wasn't crazy about it for the Tips overall, but I don't think they're not playing for this year as much. Probably I mean, and I hate to say that. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect their roster or their efforts and what they might be able to do here in this year, but getting Tannehill to me is just not a thing that a team that's playing right now is going to do. I think that Tennessee could fall off. Some of the Titans fans probably aren't going to love this, but I feel like if Henry doesn't stay healthy this year, it could fall off for them, and I almost feel like it might fall off anyway. I think they kind of peaked already, and they may be in a semi rebuild there. So I mean, they got Willis to back it up, and Willis is raw. He needs a little bit more time. I mean, Willis has definitely got potential, but I don't know that it's going to be in this year. And even if they might get him out there this year if they're not doing well, but I wouldn't expect that he would do a whole lot. So I don't know. I'm just kind of meh. I'm looking at what they got here. It just doesn't. I would have hoped to have gotten just a little bit more. But if you look at what and I'm sorry that I said they sent Samuel. I think Samuel was on that roster at one time, but ended up on DB's roster. So, but for what they sent, I guess they got back, and they might be excited about Willis as a prospect, as a dual threat. Maybe on down the line. Maybe that was their treasure in all of this. So FNG I thought did okay with Olave and a second rounder, and I really thought DBs did all right getting Lamar and getting that stack. You're exactly right though, Mike. I'd hate to have to try to guess that stack every week. I kind of feel like the smart money's on starting Dak and CD and seeing what Lamar does. I think,
Bateman, for that matter.
yeah. Well, I think we're out of camp so far as that Lamar is looking. I think last year he started to make some strides as a passer, and then he got hurt, so you kind of forget about it, right? And now he's in camp, and they're saying that he's looking good again. He's got some zip on that ball. seems to be even a little bit more accurate. And if you look at it, who's he going to throw to? It's going to be Andrews and Bateman, most likely. They let Hollywood go. They drafted Bateman last year. I think that says that okay, we're confident with Bateman, and Andrews, of course, is going to get his. So he could do some good things. So it might be a wait and see. And if he starts doing the dual threat thing and he's a better passer, then they might have just gotten a league winner there. I I won a couple of years ago when Lamar had his MVP season. I won a redraft with Lamar, so it can be done if he gets back to that form, man. It can be done, and if he's passing better, and like I said, he was showing some good last season. So I like it for him. It's kind of a sneaky good one they got there. If I was going to trade one of them, though, they'd have to trade me the stack. I'm like, don't give me I don't want just the quarterback. If you want to trade me the stack, then we can talk. But I'm not gonna.
That would be a hefty price for
Yeah.
any of that, either of those stacks.
They come as a set, man. Don't break them up, man. You can't do that. So
If I was them, I would make you have to come back for the other one. If you came for Lamb and you wanted Dak, you'd have to come back and get that guy.
sure
It'd be 2 deals.
the price would be high, but man, may be willing to pay it to get a stack that both those stacks look good to me. I've got that stack in the super secret league. I have that stack in our 2 QB dynasty, Lamar and Bateman, that is. And we got the Dak and CD. So man, we kind of have to be DB fans here, don't we? As they go, we
I've
go.
been DB fans for the last 3 years. I don't know where y'all been.
Yeah.
I've been pro DB's lineup for the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. You sure have been. I'd have to give the win to FNG. So sorry, Sean, man. I know you probably feel like we're ganging up on you, but I gotta give it to FNG overall. Just not really
My
excited.
wins are coming.
Yeah, not really excited about what the tips did there, but I see what they're doing, and it's just a little underwhelming. What FNG did there, I liked a whole lot. Lamar Jackson wasn't going to help him much, so he got a probably like you said a QB1, got a Olave, got a second rounder. Like he's already accumulating the 24 picks now. So man, the dude, man, he's the man you talk to come draft time, right? So, any other points we want to make on this one, man? It was a big trade. I don't know if it would have gotten done with 2. It's one of those where you look at it and you think, yeah, it pretty much had to be 3 to probably get it over the line.
It was a good looking trade though for all 3.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to we got 2 trades between FNG and the Prince. FNG, man, he's like the freaking reminds me of the groundhog, man. He comes out and he pokes his head out and he saw his shadow, so that meant 2 more trades, and he goes back in his hole. We won't hear from him again for a while, but the dude, man, he just all of a sudden got active, didn't he? That was pretty wild.
Have we mentioned that all these trades were in one freaking day?
That's what I say. That's crazy. You don't hear from FNG for the whole off season. Maybe he's starting to realize that Dynasty is more of a year-round thing. It's okay to be doing this stuff in the off season now. Maybe he'll get a little more active here. So, he's still getting his dynasty legs. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this first one. We had FNG receiving Dallas Goedert. And the Prince got MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, KJ Hamler, a 2023 second, which was the DBs, and a 2023 third, which was the DBs. Tell us about your trade, Sean.
So when FNG came to me about a tight end, he came to the right place. Like I was saying to everyone, everyone had the chance to get a good tight end from me. So there's a couple guys on his roster that I was going after, like Chris Godwin, Drake London, these kind of guys, and I was gonna add to Dallas Goedert and try to add these guys to my roster to get what Mike was referring to as elite depth, you know. But then it came down to I needed somebody to be able to flex in because looking down the line at bye weeks already, uh, I needed somebody, and Dallas Goedert was going to be flexed in regardless because he was probably the best player that I could at the time. So MVS was in there, and then I took KJ Hamler as a kind of a dart throw with the new Tim Patrick going down. As bad as that sounds, I was a big Tim Patrick fan because he's helped me win a couple games, but it sucked to see him go down. But J.K. Hamler could be the next guy up, and he could honestly have a pretty good upside for him. And then I needed capital in 23. The trade was actually for the capital because Dallas Goedert is depth for me that it was too much of a luxury to have. So I needed to move him, get some other pieces that help me in other places.
Yeah, I think everybody's opinions came out pretty quick in chat after this one. I think you won this one pretty nicely. I think if you're going to move a tight end, and you told me that that's what you got for it, I don't think I would have guessed Goddard is who you sent for that. So nice job there.
I thought it was funny when Abom goes, "Oh, that's the value for tight ends," and puts Mark Andrews on the block. I was dying.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I can see why F&G would want to go for it, though. You know, his tight end spot was pretty barren before that.
Yeah.
And Goddard is obviously, a fine snag. I think, like you said, maybe the picks would have been enough to get that one done, or hopefully I would have pushed for that myself a little bit more. Some of those, MVS with Kansas City, like Mark said, you go to Kansas City, everybody wants a piece of it. Probably would have tried to hold that a little more, but I was a little surprised that F&G gave up a second in 23. We know he likes his high picks, and it's projected to be a late with it being the DB's pick, but still, I was a little surprised to see him give up that much for a tight end.
Well, in his defense, he has 3 first-round picks next year too. So
Yeah, that still doesn't mean he paid too much, but.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, when I traded you Goddard last season, I thought I got really good value for him. You were kind of in FNG shoes. You really needed that spot. You needed somebody there. You didn't know you were going to get Dalton Schultz, as a waiver wire darling for the season. But
Huzzah!
yeah, you kind of had to make a move. And I looked at yours and I was like, man, he might even got better value than I did out of Goddard. So I definitely like the trade for you. I do have to say I'm still really skeptical about MVS, but maybe the change of scenery maybe he can finally put it together. He just has been so up and down, He just really needs to be more consistent. And if he can be consistent in that offense, he definitely can get open. He's got to catch the ball. He's got to be consistent. So,
well, it's funny you mentioned about MVS in a new scene because normally you like to go to Kansas City because you get to play with Mahomes, and he's been playing with Aaron Rodgers this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, with Patrick going down, Hamler is probably the next guy up. We didn't get to see much from him last season, so we'll see what he can do in the second season. He's a burner for sure, and I like his film from Penn State. So we'll see if he can put it together this year. That definitely has more opportunity with Patrick being out. So yeah, and I love the draft capital for you, Sean, because you and I both are looking at our 23 draft capital and kind of crying the blues. So that was nice. Even though DBs if they finish like they should for a change and get up in the top 4 instead of the bottom 4, they might not be the highest picks. But hey, when you don't have any picks, you'll take what you can get, right?
Yeah.
So,
my cupboard was bare when it came to 23 picks.
Yeah. I love FNG getting Goddard though. He got Gerald Everett from me, and they've been calling for the Gerald Everett breakout. It really hasn't happened. You don't know if you want to count on that. If it happens, fine. Now he's got Goddard, who he can pretty much count on. And so if Everett breakout happens, he's got two options. But I think Goddard. I think he's already gotten targeted a lot by Hurts. He's been kind of a constant in that offense. So to me, no offense, Sean, but I think Goddard would be the top pass catcher I'd want from Philadelphia. So I think that
Well,
he was
I
probably
kind of
looking
fell
lower.
into the what Mike was talking about earlier about the quarterback position. Every week I had to figure out which tight end I was going to play and hope that that was the one that was going to break out that week. So now I don't have to think about it, which is nice for me.
Yeah, we're not a tight end premium league, so you don't need 2 and 3 guys there. Nice to have the depth, but when you only starting one and it's not a tight end premium, you get something that you can. So I like this trade for you a lot. By the numbers, you were ahead, and the player comps there were good guys, So I like the trade for you a lot. That was nice. That was nice.
I do want to point out that F&G picked up Taysom Hill off waivers after this trade. Taysom
Yeah,
Hill is
dropped
designated,
Cameron Brate for him.
so he's still tinkering with his tight end position.
Brait was missing some time. He's nursing an injury, and um, they bring in Julio there, so I'm thinking Julio might be he might be the big guy that they look for. Brait, I like Brait, but if he's a little dinged up, then they brought in Julio for more competition for targets. Maybe take a dart throw. He's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks when it comes to tight ends position. So, all right, let's move on to the second trade between FNG and the Prince. The Prince received Chris Olave. Wow, big name. And FNG received Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yes, that is right. That's
Am I reading
correct.
that right? And a 2023 third from the DBs. Am I reading that right?
Yes, that is also correct, sir.
And he got another 2023 third from the Prince and a 2024 first from the Prince. So he continues collecting the 24 draft capital now. He's got enough in 23. He got bored with that. He's moving on to 24, doing his thing. What do you think, Sean? Tell us about this one.
Chris Olave is going to be the best wide receiver in this draft class, and he is on my team. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
I mean, I don't necessarily all the way disagree, but I think it's interesting that F&G would have given him up for anything. His roster at one point had London, Burks, Olave, Kenneth Walker. Like, if you're rebuilding, isn't that what you shoot? And then all the picks he's got in 24. I was surprised. I was surprised to see this one come through and pretty that quick as well. I mean, everybody, everybody knew that Sean was going to go after Olave with a new owner, and maybe you capitalize on
Fun
F&G
story
missing
about
check.
that there, Tank Top Mike. So the deal gets made, and I had a trade in to FNG before Evan even goes, "Hey, FNG, just a heads up, Sean's gonna come after Olave." I already had a deal in. I had the deal on the table. It was a good starting deal. It was going to happen. I went for it.
I think I think maybe did you give up a little more than than on paper? Who cares? I mean, you got your guy. That's it. That's all that matters. At that point, the value is irrelevant to me. You made the trade, and bingo, bango. Chris Olave is your uncle.
Yeah, he's home.
I do have to. Evan would kill me if I don't.
Oh, okay, here we go.
You just keep collecting these young wide receivers, but you can't trade a goddamn running back for anything because you don't have any of them. I need to know what's going on.
I can't argue that statement. The statement is a true fact. So, there's a guy in the league coming after one of my bench running backs, and my argument was I can't because I need a running back for bye weeks. True story.
Yeah. Now, Olave, I share your thoughts on Olave that he could be the top rookie this year. I think he's a kind of a dark horse for that. Probably people would. There's other names they would mention first, but I think Olave is a really good route runner, and I think Jameis Winston's going to sling the ball, and I think Olave is going to be open for those slingings, and I think he's got a good shot at being the top receiver out of the rookie class here.
Speaking about camp hype, I saw a video of Chris Olave making a CB, like not only break his ankles, but his knees went with him, like, and he was only 2 feet away from it. Like making a miss in a freaking phone booth, like it was bad. I felt bad for the DB.
Yeah, he's one of the best route runners in this class for sure. So this one here, by the numbers, you would have lost it by the numbers, but I think for what you got, I would be happy with it. That first was pushed out to 24, so you still got a chance to do something to get that draft capital back. I think the answer to the question there, Mike, is that FNG is a pick whore, man. He's just a pick whore. He just you dangle some picks and he just he gets excited, man. He's an excitable boy. He just loves those picks, man. He's like, man, I want my 24 to look like my 23. Dude. After all these trades, I put our league into the dynasty ranker thing there again, and just from his draft capital alone, he was the number 4 team. His starting lineup is 9. But he had like 45,000 points in draft capital, where I have like 8,000, because I have nothing in 23 basically, So he has 45,000 points. So he's still not a great starting lineup according to the dynasty ranker, but that draft capital, man, he's just loving it. So yeah, I think that's the answer to the question: is why do you give up Olave? Because you just love those picks, and you just can't resist them. Just can't resist them. Those are dangling the carrots to him, man. So, do you guys want to look at the? Do we want to look at the 2 trades together? I thought we'd do that real quick, just see what the net was between FNG and the Prince.
Sure.
So,
what do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
So basically, MVS and that 3rd rounder came and went, or went and came, I guess. Yeah, they left and came back. So the net was FNG got Dallas Goedert, a 2023 3rd from the Prince, and a 2024 1st from the Prince. The Prince got KJ Hamler, 2023 2nd from the DBs, and Chris Olave. So when you put the 2 together and you run those numbers, the trade was within 26 points. I don't think I've seen one that was that close, man. I mean, that's almost dead even. That was the difference in that one was Sam Darnold. And like I was saying to you in pre-show, Sean, I think you're okay with giving up the value of Sam Darnold to get Olave, right?
Yeah, I think I can live with that difference. Yeah. I mean, seeing that the highest pick I had in 23 was a 3rd round pick, even though the 2nd is going to probably be later half of the 2nd, it's still a 2nd round pick that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And I moved a tight end that had a ceiling of maybe 12 points to a wide receiver that could potentially have a floor play of 10 points and a ceiling play of 17 points. I don't know. So, and I got a pretty good dart throw in J.K. Hamler, so not to discount him. So I think I did all right.
You really shored up your wide receiver depth in this one.
Young guys too, man. I mean, Hamler's a 2nd-year guy, Olave in the 1st year. So, yeah, I mean, you look at it.
Wide receiver depth.
You look at it together, and it kind of evened out before it was all said and done. I kind of feel sorry for Valdez Scantling, man. He ordered the moving truck. He was putting in change of address, and then he finds out he's staying put after all. Guy didn't even, poor guy was probably.
Well, the agent came into my office and started crying that he was going to have to move. and that moving his Spectrum internet was going to be such a hassle. I was like, you know what? I'll just make a trade back so you can stay there. Don't have to move your Spectrum internet. It's fine. It's fine. He was real happy.
That was the weirdest thing to me, was seeing that same player go back. I'm like, well, how does that even make sense, man? Why you traded him and you just got him back? Did you seller's remorse or what was going on? Like I said, it's the picks. It's the pick. He just gets crazy with the picks. Like, yeah, I'll take him back. If you give me that first rounder, I'll take him back.
Yeah, it was 100% the picks. He likes those picks.
Yeah. So yeah, funny that the two trades turned out to be pretty even.
I think we had a fantastic day of trading. Landon killed it for us because he's a big old turd nugget and made a trade without Ricky's freaking approval, and we all got scared. We almost had 5 trades that day. Dang it, Landon. But if you want a little review of the show, I'm awesome. Everybody else lost. I had Chris Olave, DBs. You suck. Also, Ian, you also suck.